For years, I believed I came from a modest family. My parents, Gerald and Eliza Mercer, always said money was tight. I worked long hours through college, skipped medical checkups, and turned down internships because we couldn't afford it. All the while, I handed over my earnings to help with household expenses, grateful to be included and trusted. Everything changed on my graduation night. As I stepped off the stage, proud and exhausted, my parents led me to a dinner they had arranged at a fancy restaurant. My grandmother, Clara Mercer, arrived late and looked confused when she saw the celebration. It was clear from her reaction that something was off. As we sat down, she congratulated me and asked about the scholarship she'd set up for my college fund. "I'm so glad you got to use the Clara Fund," she said. I blinked. "The what?" Her smile faltered. "The trust fund I started when you were born. Your mother said it helped cover your tuition." I looked at Eliza. Her face tightened. "You must be mistaken, Mom. There wasn't any fund. We've been paying everything out of pocket." Clara's brows knitted together. "No," Gerald assured me, "it was used. I sent yearly statements." Confused and suddenly uneasy, I excused myself to the restroom. I pulled up my emails. I had never seen any notifications from a trust, no access to any account, no mention of it. As I returned to the table, my father was whispering something to Clara, who looked pale now. That night, I couldn't sleep. Something didn't add up. Over the next few days, I started looking into things, asking questions, pulling records, digging into every dusty drawer of family finances I could access. It turned out Clara had established a college fund for me when I was a baby. It had over $100,000. It had been drained slowly over the years, not by tuition payments, but by house renovations, trips to Europe, and payments to credit cards I didn't own. The betrayal was gut-wrenching. I confronted my parents, and their reaction was not remorse but defensiveness. "We used that money to take care of you," Gerald argued. "You had a roof over your head, didn't you?" Eliza added, "You should be grateful we managed it." Grateful. They had stolen my future and expected gratitude. That's when I knew, this wasn't just a misunderstanding. It was theft. And I wasn't the only victim. Clara supported me immediately. So did my cousin Jake. We hired a lawyer, Mr. Langston, who specialized in family financial abuse cases. The evidence we uncovered was staggering. Forged documents, manipulated statements, and a pattern of isolating me from anyone who might have helped, including Clara. My parents tried to silence me, then smear me to extended family. When I refused to back down, they filed a motion to dismiss the case. The judge rejected it. Formal discovery was ordered. At the emergency hearing, I stood before the court and made a statement. I talked about growing up thinking I was a burden, about going without basic medical care while they traveled abroad using my education funds. About being told I was selfish if I wanted new shoes or joined extracurriculars. My voice shook, but I held my ground. No child should have to sue their parents for honesty, I said. But no parent should convince their child that survival is a gift instead of a right. After I sat down, there was silence. My parents' lawyer tried to paint it as a misunderstanding. The judge wasn't buying it. "Discovery will proceed," she said, and ordered a forensic accounting. That summer, I moved in temporarily with Clara. We began reconnecting without Eliza's filters. She showed me old photos, birthday cards she'd sent that I never received, and letters returned unopened. Eliza had cut me off from Clara since I was a child. Weeks later, Jake and I went back to my childhood home to collect documents. What we found was worse than expected. Not only had they stolen from me, but they had drained trust funds from other relatives, my cousin Miranda's education fund, and even money meant for my late Aunt Judith's estate. They had been doing this for years. I realized then that they had erased my presence from the home. My childhood bedroom had become a workout room. There were no traces of me left. They'd planned to erase me long before the truth came out. The court case progressed quickly once forensic reports came in. My father, it turned out, had also been embezzling from his company. He was arrested for corporate fraud. The final settlement included full restitution of the money, plus damages for emotional distress. But by then, the money felt secondary. I used part of it to start a scholarship, the Clara Fund for New Beginnings. It supports students estranged from their families or recovering from financial abuse. I was interviewed by a local journalist who wrote a story about my case. To my surprise, instead of judgment, my inbox flooded with support. People shared stories: siblings who had been robbed of inheritances, students whose parents controlled every dollar to manipulate their futures. One message stood out. It was from a teenage girl named Mia who said my story gave her the courage to speak up. She was secretly applying to colleges with her aunt's help. Eventually, I turned my story into a podcast called Inheriting Silence. I interviewed survivors, therapists, and financial advocates. It gained traction and even caught national attention. I co-founded a support group called Quiet Funds. What began as a small circle grew into a statewide network. Then, I got a letter from Eliza. But this time, it was different. No theatrics. No guilt trips. Just an accounting of her actions, admitting to the lies, the control, the jealousy. She ended the letter with, "I won't ask for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I only want you to know I see clearly now." I burned the letter in Clara's backyard. Not out of anger, but closure. Months later, I was invited to speak at a national conference on family financial ethics. Clara sat in the front row, proud and tearful. "Financial abuse persists because we don't name it," I told the crowd. "But naming it is the first step toward healing." As the applause faded and I stepped off the stage, I thought about the young woman I had been at my graduation dinner, confused, uncertain, ashamed. That girl was gone. In her place stood a woman who had reclaimed her voice. I didn't lose a family that night. I found the strength to build one, honest, supportive, and unshakably mine. If this story resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more stories that bring hidden family truths to light.